The year was 2145 when the Zeltron starship descended upon the skies of Earth, its sleek, curved hull glistening in the sunlight. After decades of humankind searching the cosmos for signs of extraterrestrial life, the moment had finally arrived, first contact with an advanced alien civilization. The news spread like wildfire, captivating the attention of the entire world. Leaders from every nation convened hastily, eager to establish diplomatic relations and learn from this enigmatic alien race. Meanwhile, the general populace was gripped by a mixture of wonder, fear, and unbridled curiosity. When the Zeltron ambassador, a tall, elegant being with iridescent skin, finally stepped onto the tarmac of a secretive military air base, he was greeted by the most powerful humans on the planet. With grace and poise, the ambassador extended the offer for humanity to join the Galactic Consortium, an alliance of dozens of alien races that spanned the known universe. The human representatives were stunned, their minds racing with the implications of this unprecedented invitation. After millennia of humanity feeling isolated and alone in the cosmos, the prospect of joining an interstellar community was both thrilling and daunting. Whispers of excitement and trepidation filled the air as negotiations commenced. Over the following weeks, human diplomats and scientists engaged in intense discussions with their Zeltron counterparts, learning about the consortium's inner workings, technological advancements, and the complex geopolitics of the galactic stage. It was a steep learning curve, but the humans were determined to seize this opportunity. However, as the talks progressed, the humans began to sense an undercurrent of condescension from the Zeltrons. The alien ambassadors often spoke of humanity in patronizing tones, describing them as young and underdeveloped compared to the more enlightened races of the consortium. This subtle disdain was not lost on the proud human delegations. "They view us as little more than children," muttered one American diplomat to his British counterpart during a recess. "As if we're some primitive species that needs to be taught how to behave in proper galactic society." The Briton nodded grimly. "Yes, and I'm not certain I like the implication that we'll be expected to simply fall in line and do as we're told. We've fought too hard for our autonomy to surrender it so easily." Fueled by a sense of unease, the human representatives pressed the Zeltrons for more details on the consortium's decision-making processes and the rights and responsibilities that would come with membership. The aliens, caught off guard by the humans' probing questions, became increasingly evasive and guarded in their responses. "You must understand, the Galactic Consortium has existed for millennia, with well-established protocols and traditions," the lead Zeltron ambassador explained, his tone laced with condescension. "Integrating a new, relatively primitive species, such as yourselves, will require a delicate process of adaptation and acculturation." The word primitive struck a nerve with the humans, who had long since shed their ancient superstitions and tribal mentalities to become a technologically advanced, globally unified civilization. They had fought wars, endured famines, and overcome environmental catastrophes to reach this point, only to be dismissed as backward by these alien overlords. Tension simmered beneath the surface as the negotiations dragged on. The human delegates found themselves increasingly frustrated by the Zeltrons' patronizing attitude and their apparent unwillingness to grant Earth's representatives a meaningful voice in the consortium's affairs. "They expect us to simply fall in line and obey their rules without question," growled the Russian envoy during a private meeting of the human team. "This is not a partnership. It is subjugation, plain and simple." The American diplomat nodded solemnly. "I'm beginning to wonder if joining this galactic consortium is truly in humanity's best interest. Perhaps we are better off carving our own path, rather than submitting to the whims of these condescending aliens. Heated debates erupted among the human delegates, with some arguing that the technological and scientific rewards of consortium membership were worth the concessions, while others vehemently opposed any compromise of Earth's sovereignty. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the negotiation process reached a critical juncture. Sensing the growing discord among the human representatives, the Zeltron ambassador called for a recess, stating that he needed to consult with the consortium's High Council before proceeding. As the alien envoy departed, the human delegates were left to wrestle with the weighty decision that lay before them. Would they accept the Zeltron's terms and join the Galactic Consortium, or would they dare to forge their own destiny, independent of these self-proclaimed galactic overlords? The recess provided the human delegates with a much-needed opportunity to regroup and reevaluate their position. Tensions were running high, and the prospect of submitting to the Zeltron's condescending oversight had rubbed many of them the wrong way. As the representatives from the various nations convened in a private meeting room, a palpable sense of unease filled the air. The Russian envoy in particular seemed visibly agitated, pacing back and forth as he voiced his mounting concerns. "This is unacceptable," he declared, his deep baritone resonating through the room. "We are being treated like children, expected to meekly follow the rules and traditions of this so-called Galactic Consortium without any real say in the matter. I, for one, refuse to accept such a subordinate position for humanity." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled diplomats. The American representative nodded sullenly, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "I share your reservations, comrade. The Zeltrons may possess advanced technology and a long history of interstellar cooperation, but that does not make them inherently superior to us. We have our own unique strengths and capabilities that they seem to be overlooking." A thoughtful silence fell over the group as they considered her words. It was true that the humans had accomplished remarkable feats in a relatively short span of time, from harnessing the power of the atom to exploring the solar system and beyond. Their adaptability, resourcefulness, and sheer determination had allowed them to overcome countless challenges that would have broken lesser civilizations. The Chinese delegate, a soft-spoken but steely-eyed woman, spoke up. "Perhaps it is time we demonstrated to these Zeltrons the true scope of human ingenuity and potential. They may view us as primitives, but we have proven time and again that we are capable of exceptional innovation and problem-solving." Heads nodded in agreement around the table. The Indian representative leaned forward, his eyes alight with conviction. "Yes, and we must not forget our capacity for unity and collective action. When faced with adversity, humanity has a remarkable ability to put aside our differences and work towards a common goal." As the discussion continued, the human delegates began to recognize and appreciate the unique qualities that set their species apart. Their boundless creativity, their drive to explore and push the boundaries of the known, their resilience in the face of daunting challenges. These were the traits that had allowed them to thrive and progress as a civilization. Slowly, a newfound sense of confidence and determination began to replace the earlier feelings of unease and resentment. The humans realized that they had much to offer the Galactic Consortium, if only the Zeltrons were willing to recognize and respect their capabilities. "We should not simply accept the terms laid out by the Zeltrons," the British envoy declared, his usually reserved demeanor now tinged with a hint of defiance. "Instead, we must present them with a counter-proposal that reflects our own values and priorities. After all, we are not mere students to be indoctrinated. We are equals, ready to contribute to this interstellar community as partners, not subordinates." The room erupted in enthusiastic agreement, the once hesitant diplomats now brimming with a newfound sense of purpose. They would not be cowed by the Zeltron's condescension. Instead, they would leverage their unique strengths and talents to demand a seat at the table on their own terms. As the Zeltron ambassador returned, he was met with a united front of human representatives, their posture and expressions conveying a marked shift in attitude. The alien envoy paused, sensing the change in the room's dynamics, and braced himself for the impending confrontation. Honored Zeltron, the American diplomat began, her voice firm and unwavering. We have given your proposal considerable thought, and while we appreciate the opportunity to join the Galactic Consortium, we have some concerns that we would like to address. The Zeltron ambassador's brow furrowed, his initially cordial demeanor giving way to a subtle discomfort. He knew that the next few moments would be crucial in determining the fate of humanity's integration into the interstellar community. The humans, once passive and deferential, now stood poised to assert their rightful place among the stars. The Zeltron ambassador's discomfort was palpable as the human representatives laid out their counter-proposal. Gone was the earlier deference. In its place stood a unified front of proud, unyielding diplomats, determined to secure a meaningful role for humanity within the Galactic Consortium. We appreciate the opportunity to join your esteemed alliance, the American delegate began, her tone measured but firm. However, we have some reservations about the terms you've presented. Namely, we are concerned that the current structure of the consortium does not adequately reflect the unique strengths and capabilities of our species. The Zeltron ambassador shifted his weight, his iridescent skin betraying a faint hint of unease. Ah, yes, I understand your concerns. The Galactic Consortium has existed for millennia, with well-established protocols and traditions. Integrating a new member species requires a delicate process of adaptation. Therein lies the problem, the Russian envoy interjected, his deep voice cutting through the diplomat's measured tones. You speak of adaptation as if it is a one-way street, with humanity expected to simply fall in line and conform to your ways. We are not mere students to be indoctrinated. We are a proud, innovative civilization with much to contribute. The Zeltron ambassador opened his mouth to respond, but the British delegate raised a hand, silencing him. What we propose is a partnership of equals, one in which humanity's voice is heard and our perspectives are taken into account. We are not asking for special treatment, merely the opportunity to shape the future of this consortium alongside the other member races. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the human contingent, their resolve stealing with each passing moment. The Zeltron ambassador's brow furrowed as he considered the implications of their demands. For centuries, the consortium had operated under the assumption of Zeltron supremacy, with other races deferring to their leadership. The prospect of having to share power with this upstart species was a jarring one. You must understand, the ambassador began, his tone laced with a hint of condescension. The Galactic Consortium has evolved over millennia to function as a well-oiled machine. Introducing new elements, especially from a relatively primitive species, could disrupt the delicate balance we've achieved. The Chinese delegate's eyes narrowed at the use of the word primitive, but she maintained her composure. Perhaps it is time for the consortium to evolve then. Humanity has proven itself capable of remarkable technological and scientific advancements in a remarkably short span of time. We may be new to the galactic stage, but we have much to offer, if only you are willing to give us a chance. The Zeltron ambassador's gaze darted between the resolute human faces, his expression betraying a growing unease. It was clear that these delegates would not be cowed by his condescending rhetoric. They were determined to assert their rightful place among the stars. Very well, the ambassador conceded, his tone reluctant. I will convey your proposal to the High Council for consideration. However, I must caution you that significant changes to the consortium's structure and decision-making processes will not be taken lightly. The human representatives exchanged triumphant glances, understanding that they had made a critical first step in securing their position within the Galactic Consortium. As the Zeltron ambassador departed, the group immediately set to work, pooling their collective expertise to craft a comprehensive plan that would demonstrate the full scope of humanity's capabilities. In the weeks that followed, the human delegates immersed themselves in a flurry of activity, collaborating with scientists, engineers, and visionaries from around the world. They leveraged humanity's boundless creativity and problem-solving skills to devise innovative solutions to some of the consortium's most pressing challenges. When the Zeltron ambassador returned, he was greeted by a series of bold proposals, designs for more efficient, eco-friendly spacecraft, revolutionary medical treatments that could prolong the lives of alien species, and even novel approaches to interstellar diplomacy and conflict resolution. The humans had clearly been busy, and the Zeltron's initial condescension was slowly giving way to a grudging respect. As the consortium's High Council convened to review the human proposals, the representatives from Earth waited with bated breath. This was their chance to prove their worth, to shatter the preconceived notions of their alien counterparts, and cement humanity's rightful place among the stars. The fate of their species hung in the balance, and the humans were determined to rise to the occasion. They had come too far, overcome too many challenges, to be relegated to the sidelines of this grand interstellar community. Now they would show the Zeltrons and the rest of the consortium, in no uncertain terms, that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The Zeltron ambassador returned to the negotiation chamber, his expression unreadable as he surveyed the expectant human delegates. The tension in the room was palpable. All eyes were trained on the alien envoy, waiting with bated breath for the verdict of the Galactic Consortium's High Council. After what felt like an eternity, the ambassador cleared his throat and began to speak. The High Council has reviewed the proposals put forth by your delegation, and I must say, we are impressed. Ripples of cautious optimism spread through the human contingent, but they remained wary, unwilling to let their guard down just yet. Your innovations in spacecraft design, medical technology, and conflict resolution hold tremendous promise, the Zeltron continued, his tone betraying a hint of reluctant admiration. It is clear that humanity possesses remarkable capabilities that we had not fully appreciated. The American delegate leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. And what does this mean for our bid to join the Galactic Consortium as equal partners? The ambassador raised a hand, silencing her. The High Council has agreed to grant your species provisional membership, with the understanding that you will continue to demonstrate your worth and contributions to the consortium over the coming years. A murmur of dissent rose from the human representatives, but the Zeltron raised his voice to cut them off. However, there are certain stipulations that must be met in order for your status to be elevated to that of a full member. The human delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the triumph they had felt moments earlier now tinged with apprehension. The Russian envoy spoke up, his deep baritone laced with thinly veiled suspicion. And what, precisely, are these stipulations you speak of? The Zeltron ambassador's gaze hardened. First and foremost, the High Council requires that you limit the pace of your technological and scientific advancements. We cannot risk your species upsetting the delicate balance of power within the consortium. The Chinese delegate's eyes widened in disbelief. You would have us stifle our progress. Humanity has spent centuries pushing the boundaries of what is possible. You cannot expect us to simply put the brakes on our development. The Zeltron ambassador held up a placating hand. It is not that we wish to impede your progress, my dear. Rather, we seek to ensure a smooth and orderly integration of your species into our established order. Certain dramatic changes could have unforeseen consequences." The British envoy scoffed. "Forgive us if we find your concerns about unforeseen consequences less than convincing. This sounds suspiciously like an attempt to keep us firmly under your thumb." Murmurs of agreement echoed around the room as the human delegates realized the true nature of the Zeltron's stipulations. It was not an invitation to partnership, but rather a thinly veiled attempt to maintain their dominance over the galactic community. The Zeltron ambassador's expression darkened. "You must understand, the Galactic Consortium has existed for millennia, with carefully cultivated hierarchies and power structures. Allowing your species to rise too quickly could upset the delicate balance we have worked so hard to maintain." The American delegate leaned back in her chair, a sardonic smile playing on her lips. "Ah, I see now. You're afraid that our primitive species might actually surpass your own capabilities, aren't you? That we might challenge your position of power within the consortium." The Zeltron's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, the veneer of diplomacy slipped, revealing the true depth of his unease. "You presume too much, human. The consortium's decisions are based on the collective wisdom of its members, not the whims of any single race." "Perhaps," the Russian envoy interjected, his tone dripping with disdain, "but it seems that your collective wisdom is little more than a thin veil for the naked self-interest of the Zeltrons and your allies." Tension hung thick in the air as the human delegates stared down the Zeltron ambassador, their resolve heartening with each passing moment. They had come too far, overcome too many challenges, to be relegated to the status of second-class citizens within the Galactic Consortium. The American delegate rose from her seat, her posture commanding the attention of all in the room. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. Humanity will not accept these terms. We are not interested in a partnership that seeks to limit our potential and maintain your dominance. If the Galactic Consortium is unwilling to embrace us as equals, then we have no choice but to forge our own path among the stars." The Zeltron ambassador's eyes widened in alarm, realizing that this confrontation had spiraled far beyond what he had anticipated. The human delegates, once deferential and eager, now stood united in their defiance, unwilling to compromise their hard-won autonomy. As the ambassador hurriedly departed to consult with the High Council once more, the human representatives knew that a pivotal moment had arrived. The fate of their species' place in the galactic community now hung in the balance, and they were prepared to fight for it, come what may. The Zeltron ambassador departed in haste, his normally composed demeanor betraying a growing sense of alarm. The human delegates had made it abundantly clear that they would not meekly accept the consortium's terms, and the implications of this confrontation were not lost on the alien envoy. As the Zeltron hurried through the corridors of the secretive military installation, his mind raced with the potential consequences of this standoff. The High Council had not anticipated such staunch resistance from the upstart human civilization, a species they had initially viewed as little more than primitives, destined to be easily molded and assimilated into the existing order. Yet, the human delegates had proven themselves to be far more formidable than the Zeltrons had anticipated. Their unwavering determination, coupled with a remarkable capacity for innovation, had caught the consortium off guard. The Zeltron ambassador knew that he had to tread carefully, lest this confrontation spiral out of control and jeopardize the delicate balance of power within the Galactic Consortium. Upon his return to the negotiation chamber, the Zeltron ambassador found the human delegates huddled in animated discussion, their expressions resolute. Cleaving his throat, he sought to regain the upper hand. "My colleagues, I must convey the High Council's disappointment in your unwillingness to cooperate. Surely you can understand our concerns about the pace of your technological advancements and the potential disruption it could cause to the established order. The American delegate arose, her gaze unwavering. With all due respect, Ambassador, we have made it clear that we will not accept any terms that seek to limit our potential or maintain your dominance over us. Humanity has come too far to be relegated to the status of subservient partners. The Zeltron's brow furrowed, his iridescent skin betraying a faint hint of irritation. You fail to grasp the complexity of the issues at hand. The Galactic Consortium has existed for millennia, with delicately balanced power structures. Introducing a volatile new element, such as your species, could have catastrophic consequences. The Russian envoy scoffed, his deep voice laced with disdain. Catastrophic consequences. Or simply the loss of your own privileged position within this so-called alliance. We are not blind to your transparent attempts to maintain your grip on power. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the human contingent, their collective resolve hardening with each passing moment. The Zeltron ambassador realized that he was rapidly losing control of the situation, and a sense of unease began to creep into his consciousness. Colleagues, please, let us not lose sight of the greater good, he pleaded, his usually calm demeanor slipping. Humanity's integration into the consortium must be handled with the utmost care and consideration. The British delegate leaned forward, his expression grave. That is precisely the problem, Ambassador. Your care and consideration reeks of condescension and a blatant disregard for our rights and autonomy. We are not children to be moulded and controlled. We are a proud, capable species, and we demand to be treated as such. The Zeltron's shoulders sagged, and for the first time he appeared genuinely unsettled. You leave me no choice, then. The High Council has determined that your species' unconditional acceptance of our terms is a non-negotiable prerequisite for membership in the Galactic Consortium. The human delegates erupted in a chorus of outrage, their voices mingling in a cacophony of defiance. The American delegate raised her hand, silencing the room. Then so be it. If the Galactic Consortium is unwilling to embrace us as equals, we have no choice but to forge our own path among the stars. We will not submit to your domination, nor will we allow you to dictate the course of our civilization's future. The Zeltron ambassador's eyes widened in alarm, realizing the gravity of the situation. You would dare to defy the will of the Galactic Consortium. Such an act would be tantamount to declaring war on the entire interstellar community. The Chinese delegate rose, her expression resolute. So be it. Humanity has faced adversity and overcome countless challenges throughout our history. We are not afraid to stand up for our rights, even if it means confronting the might of your so-called alliance. The human delegates erupted in a roar of approval, their fists raised in a show of unity and determination. The Zeltron ambassador knew that he was fighting a losing battle, and that the consequences of this confrontation would be severe. As he turned to leave, the American delegate's voice rang out, cutting through the din. Tell your High Council that humanity will not be cowed. We are ready to take our rightful place among the stars, with or without your approval. The future belongs to us. The Zeltron ambassador paused, his shoulders slumping in resignation. He knew that the humans had drawn a line in the sand, and that the fate of the Galactic Consortium now hung in the balance. With a heavy heart, he departed, leaving the human delegates to ponder the implications of their bold declaration. The Zeltron ambassador's hasty departure left the human delegates in a state of heightened anticipation. They knew that their defiant stand against the Galactic Consortium's terms had set in motion a chain of events that would ripple through the entire interstellar community. As the hours ticked by, the tension in the room palpably thickened. The representatives from Earth, once cautiously optimistic about the prospect of joining the prestigious alliance, now found themselves bracing for the backlash that was sure to come. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the doors to the negotiation chamber swung open, and a contingent of Zeltron officials filed in, their expressions grim. At their head was the ambassador, his iridescent skin betraying a faint hint of unease. The High Council has convened to discuss your, shall we say, unorthodox proposal, the ambassador began, his tone measured but laced with a subtle edge. Never before has a species so boldly challenged the established order of the Galactic Consortium. The human delegates remained silent, their postures rigid as they waited for the Zeltrons to deliver their verdict. The Russian envoy, however, could not resist the urge to interject. And yet, here we are. Humanity has grown weary of being treated as inferior, of having our potential stifled by hierarchic power structures. We demand to be recognized as equals, with a voice that carries as much weight as your own. The Zeltron ambassador's brow furrowed, his discomfort palpable. You speak with conviction, human, but you fail to grasp the delicate balance that has maintained peace and stability within the consortium for millennia. Your defiance threatens to upset that balance, with potentially catastrophic consequences. The American delegate leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. Then perhaps it is time for that balance to be reevaluated. The galaxy is a vast and ever-changing place. Surely the Galactic Consortium must evolve to meet the challenges of the future, rather than clinging to the rigid structures of the past. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the human contingent, their confidence bolstered by the Americans' impassioned words. The Zeltron ambassador's expression darkened, and he raised a hand to silence the room. The High Council has deliberated extensively on this matter. While we acknowledge the remarkable capabilities that your species has demonstrated, we remain deeply concerned about the potential disruption your integration could cause. The British delegate scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. Disruption, or the erosion of your own power and influence within the consortium. Forgive us if we see through your thinly veiled attempts to maintain the status quo. The Zeltron ambassador's eyes narrowed, his composure slipping. You dare to question the objectivity of the High Council. We have spent millennia cultivating a delicate balance of power, one that has brought peace and prosperity to the stars. Your reckless ambition threatens to unravel all that we have built. The Chinese delegate rose, her expression calm, but her words cutting. And what of our ambition, Ambassador? Have we not demonstrated that we are worthy of a seat at your table? Or is it simply that you fear the prospect of having to share that power with an upstart species such as ourselves? The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, the human delegates pressing their case with unwavering conviction. The Zeltron ambassador found himself increasingly overwhelmed, his attempts to maintain control slipping through his grasp. Sensing an opportunity, the American delegate seized the moment, her voice rising above the din. Honored members of the High Council, we are not here to overthrow your rule or dismantle the Galactic Consortium. We simply seek the recognition and respect that our species deserves. Is that truly too much to ask? The Zeltron ambassador opened his mouth to respond, but before he could utter a word, a new voice cut through the chaos. The High Council has heard your arguments, both human and Zeltron. All eyes turned to the source of the soft-spoken words, a tall, regal-looking Zeltron who had until now remained silent. The ambassador's eyes widened, and he quickly stepped aside, allowing the newcomer to approach the center of the room. I am Velara, the High Counselor of the Galactic Consortium, and I must confess, I find myself intrigued by the passion and conviction displayed by your species, human delegates. The human representatives exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of how to respond to this unexpected intervention. The Zeltron ambassador's expression betrayed a mixture of trepidation and unease, as if he knew that the tide was about to turn. Valara raised a hand, silencing the murmurs that had risen in the room. The High Council has reached a decision. We will grant humanity provisional membership in the Galactic Consortium, with the understanding that you will be afforded the opportunity to prove your worth and earn a permanent equal seat among us. The human delegates erupted in a chorus of triumphant cheers, their faces alight with a mixture of relief and pride. The Zeltron ambassador, on the other hand, appeared visibly disgruntled, his iridescent skin flushed with what seemed to be a tinge of embarrassment. As the negotiations resumed with a renewed sense of cooperation and optimism, the human delegates knew that they had taken a critical first step in securing their rightful place among the stars. The battle, however, was far from over, and they steeled themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. The High Councillor's announcement was met with a triumphant roar from the human delegation. After months of tense negotiations and heated confrontations, their unwavering determination had finally paid off. Humanity was granted provisional membership in the prestigious Galactic Consortium, a monumental achievement that marked a significant turning point in the annals of human history. Yet, as the initial elation began to subside, the human representatives found themselves faced with a new set of challenges. The Zeltron ambassador and his colleagues, though outwardly acquiescent, were visibly disgruntled by the High Councillor's decision, their expressions betraying a subtle undercurrent of resentment. The American delegate, sensing the lingering tension, rose from her seat and addressed the Zeltrons directly. We are grateful for the opportunity to join the Galactic Consortium as provisional members, but I must stress that this is merely the beginning. Humanity expects to be treated as true equals, with a voice that carries as much weight as your own. The Zeltron ambassador's brow furrowed, and he opened his mouth to respond, but the High Councillor raised a hand, silencing him. Rest assured, human delegate, the High Council is committed to ensuring a smooth and equitable integration of your species into the consortium. However, there are certain protocols and traditions that must be observed. The British envoy's expression darkened, his jaw clenching with barely concealed frustration. Protocols and traditions. Forgive us, but we have already witnessed how your protocols and traditions can be used to maintain the status quo and limit the voice of newer member species. The High Councillor regarded the human delegates with a measured gaze, her eyes betraying a hint of empathy. I understand your concerns, and I want to assure you that the High Council is committed to a genuine partnership. But you must also understand that the Galactic Consortium has existed for millennia, and the delicate balance we have maintained cannot be upended overnight. The Russian envoy leaned forward, his deep voice rumbling with a mix of defiance and pragmatism. Then perhaps it is time to re-evaluate that balance. Humanity has proven its worth, both in the negotiations and through the innovative solutions we have presented. Surely we deserve a seat at the table, not as mere guests, but as valued equal partners. The Zeltron ambassador opened his mouth to interject, but the High Councillor raised a hand, silencing him once more. The Russian delegate raises a fair point. The High Council has recognized the potential of your species, and we are prepared to grant you a more substantial role within the consortium. A murmur of cautious optimism rippled through the human contingent, and the American delegate seized the opportunity to press their advantage. Honored High Councillor, we appreciate your willingness to reconsider the terms of our membership. However, we must insist that any new arrangements truly reflect a partnership of equals, with an equal voice in the consortium's decision-making processes. The High Councillor nodded thoughtfully, her gaze sweeping across the assembled humans. That is a reasonable request, and one that the High Council is prepared to consider. However, we must also address the concerns of our existing member species, who have grown accustomed to a certain balance of power. The Chinese delegate spoke up, our tone measured but firm. Surely the Galactic Consortium is capable of adapting to accommodate new perspectives and voices. After all, the measure of any great institution is its ability to evolve and embrace change. The Zeltron ambassador shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his iridescent skin betraying his unease. It was clear that the human delegates had managed to shift the momentum in their favor, forcing the consortium to reckon with the implications of their actions. The High Counselor regarded the human representatives with a contemplative expression. Your words carry wisdom, and the High Council is prepared to engage in substantive discussions to redefine the parameters of your membership. However, this will not be a simple or swift process. There are delicate matters of protocol and tradition that must be carefully navigated. The American delegate nodded, her expression resolute. We understand the challenges ahead, High Counselor, but we are prepared to meet them head-on. Humanity is ready to take its rightful place among the stars, and we will not be deterred by the consortium's archaic power structures. The High Counselor's lips curled into a faint smile. Then let us begin the work of forging a new path forward, one that honors the rich history of the Galactic Consortium while embracing the boundless potential of your species. As the negotiations resumed with a renewed spirit of cooperation and compromise, the human delegates knew that they had taken a critical step towards securing their place in the galactic community. The road ahead would undoubtedly be arduous, but they were determined to overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. For humanity, the future had never been brighter. Over the course of the following months, the integration of humanity into the Galactic Consortium was a delicate and complex process. The human delegates, buoyed by their hard-won provisional membership, engaged in extensive negotiations with their alien counterparts, determined to carve out a meaningful role for their species within the Interstellar Alliance. The Zeltrons, though outwardly cooperative, remained wary of the humans' growing influence and were reluctant to grant them the full equality they demanded. Tensions simmered beneath the surface as the High Council grappled with the implications of truly embracing this young, upstart civilization as their equals. Yet, as the negotiations progressed, the humans proved themselves to be invaluable assets to the consortium. Their boundless creativity, innovative problem-solving skills, and unwavering determination to push the boundaries of science and technology captured the attention and admiration of the other member species. The Chinese delegate, in particular, emerged as a shrewd and formidable negotiator, leveraging her deep understanding of human history and culture to forge strategic alliances with the more open-minded alien races. Slowly but surely, the humans chipped away at the Zeltron's resistance, demonstrating time and again that their inclusion would strengthen the consortium as a whole. We are not here to dismantle your established order, the American delegate declared during one particularly tense session. Rather, we seek to complement it, to bring new ideas and perspectives that will enrich the Galactic Consortium and propel us all towards a brighter future. The High Counselor, Valara, regarded the human with an expression of cautious optimism. Your words carry wisdom, human, and we have seen the tangible benefits that your species has already brought to the table. The question now is how we can best integrate your unique talents and insights into the fabric of the consortium. After months of arduous negotiations, a historic compromise was reached. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Consortium, with the human delegates taking their rightful place alongside the representatives of the other member species. The Zeltrons, though still wary, were forced to concede that the humans' contributions were too valuable to ignore. As the news of humanity's ascension to the consortium's inner circles spread throughout the stars, a palpable sense of excitement and anticipation gripped the galactic community. The other races, once dismissive of the primitive humans, now looked upon them with a newfound respect and curiosity. The human delegates, buoyed by their hard-won victory, wasted no time in leveraging their position to drive the consortium forward. They spearheaded groundbreaking collaborations, sharing their technological expertise and innovative problem-solving approaches to tackle some of the most pressing challenges facing the Interstellar Alliance. From developing more efficient and eco-friendly spacecraft to pioneering revolutionary medical treatments that could prolong the lives of alien species, the humans proved themselves to be invaluable partners in the ongoing quest for progress and prosperity. The consortium's once rigid hierarchy began to give way to a more fluid, collaborative structure, with the humans playing a central role in shaping the direction of the Alliance. The Zeltrons, though still cautious, found themselves gradually won over by the humans' tenacity and the tangible benefits their inclusion had brought. Slowly but surely, the once condescending attitudes gave way to a newfound respect and appreciation for their human counterparts. "We have much to learn from your species," the Zeltron ambassador confessed during a private meeting with the American delegate. "Your capacity for innovation and your willingness to challenge the status quo have been both humbling and inspiring." The American delegate smiled, her expression warm but resolute. "We are merely reclaiming our rightful place among the stars, Ambassador. Humanity has always been driven to explore, to push the boundaries of what is possible. And now, with the resources and knowledge of the Galactic Consortium at our fingertips, there is no limit to what we can achieve." As the years passed, the integration of humanity into the consortium deepened, with the humans taking on increasingly influential roles in shaping the direction of the Alliance. The once rigid power structures began to evolve, giving way to a more balanced and collaborative approach that embraced the unique strengths of each member species. The Zeltrons, once wary of the humans' ambitions, found themselves marveling at the remarkable progress that had been made. The Alliance's once stagnant scientific and technological advancement had been reinvigorated, ushering in a new era of discovery and innovation that captivated the entire galactic community. And at the center of it all stood the humans, their once dismissed potential now fully realized and celebrated. As they looked out upon the vast expanse of the cosmos, the human delegates knew that they had not only secured their rightful place among the stars, but had also helped to forge a brighter, more prosperous future for the entire Galactic Consortium. The future, it seemed, belonged to humanity and its boundless potential.